Hello and welcome to our webcast, MBA Student Insights, Life Outside Tech at the GSB. My name is Jason Dunford and I'm a first-year MBA student here at the GSB, and I'm joined by JB Monu and Jessica Holton. Like me, they are pursuing career interests outside the tech sector. So today we'll be talking a little bit about the student experience here at the GSB, and we'll answer as many of your questions as we can. So to submit a question to us about what it's like to be a student, just click the chat button at the top of your screen, enter your question, and click Send to all panelists. Please be aware that we won't be taking any questions about the admission process, the application, or financial aid today. You can consult the website or contact the MBA admissions office for that information. All right, let's get started. We'll begin with introductions, where we're from, what we were each doing before coming to the GSB, and what our goals are for after graduation. So I'll go ahead and start. Again, my name's Jason Dunford. I grew up in Kenya, came to the US for college about 10 years ago. I was an international swimmer, so swam during college and then beyond college, representing Kenya. And then after that, I worked a couple of jobs before the GSB. The first one was in electronics recycling, and then after that, I moved into the solar industry, and I've become very passionate about clean energy and see myself working in that industry beyond the GSB. Now I'll turn it over to JB.
Hi, I'm JB Monu. I grew up in upstate New York, but most recently I've been living in Los Angeles. Prior to the GSB, I worked in the entertainment industry, so I spent 4.5 years at a talent agency, think Entourage, and a year and a half at a TV production company. And I'm looking to get into management consulting post the GSB.
Thanks, JB. Jessica?
Hi, everyone. I'm Jessica. It's great to be with you here today. I grew up on the East Coast, primarily New Jersey, and most recently from New York. And prior to the GSB, I was in finance. I did 2 years of investment banking and 2 years of private equity, focusing on the consumer industry.
Great.
And post-graduation, I'd love to start a company in the skincare industry.
Great. Thank you both. So let's get started with some questions submitted by the audience. So the first one, did you come to school planning to work outside of tech, or did you change your plans after you arrived? JB, do you want to take that one first up?
Okay, yeah. My answer's pretty simple because I was very deliberate with what I wanted to do. Working in entertainment for 6 years, I was ready to see more industries, and I figured the best way to do that was to go to business school and then work in consulting because they work with many different industries. So I was very focused and knew what I wanted to do going into it.
Yeah, I was also very focused on wanting to start a consumer company. What I was really excited about was just being around the tech industry and around Silicon Valley and just understanding the different ways that people think here on the West Coast. So while I was never really interested in going directly into tech, I was interested in getting the tech kind of vibe.
Great. And for me, very passionate about energy after working at Sunrun Solar Company, and now exploring ways to go and work in clean energy back in Kenya, where I'm from. Been in the US quite a few years now, so I want to use the knowledge I gained here at the GSB to go back and do something there. So number 2, what resources has the GSB provided you with to explore life outside of tech? Jessica, do you have
Yeah, so in starting a company, Stanford is great at providing resources that are related to entrepreneurial pursuits. 2 things that come to mind are Venture Studio, which is actually a physical space on campus that you can work on your company that you're starting. But there's also a huge community of people who are alumni of Stanford who were part of Venture Studio while they were here, and they ask questions of each other, and we kind of provide resources for each other. In addition, classes like Startup Garage offer a hands-on experience and are really agnostic to what industry you're wanting to start a company in. So they have a huge focus on providing resources for entrepreneurial ventures, and it doesn't matter if it's tech or not.
Okay. JB?
Yeah, so even though I knew I wanted to do consulting, I still went to a number of the CMC, Career Management Center events, and they had a lot of different events to help you just explore who you are and explore what you're interested in, to give you ideas of what to get into. So I knew I wanted to do consulting, but I said, you know what, let me try these out. And they're actually pretty helpful. I noticed them help out a lot of people. It helped me even focus more on consulting. So the CMC is a great resource too.
Perfect. And for me, a bit like Jessica, I've had a chance to be part of the Venture Studio, exploring my own venture, and also taking a couple of classes, what we call across-the-street classes, in other schools here at Stanford. So I had a great opportunity to take an energy entrepreneurship class last quarter and really progress the venture that I'm working on. Great, we'll move on to the next one. What academic extracurricular internship experiences are helping you explore and pursue careers outside of tech? JB, I'll throw that one over to you.
Well, having a liberal arts degree and not knowing business speak, as I'll call it, just going to business school in general was very helpful. Just the the introductory strategy class, and learning how people in the traditional business world speak, that alone has been very helpful. And then the different clubs and stuff as well, I would say too.
Perfect. Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm kind of similar. I had a human biology degree, so similarly, really getting the hardcore business skills has been incredibly helpful as I think about what I'm going to do next. And then extracurricularly, I'm getting a chance to head up the GSB Energy Club, which I think will be a great leadership experience and help me plug into the energy community even deeper. All right, that's the next one. Can you talk about the social aspects of the community? Does it feel like everyone is only interested in tech? Jessica, does it?
Absolutely not. One of my favorite things about the GSB is how different we all are, and of course we're extremely supportive of each other, but seeing where people come from and where they're going, there's really no focus. I think there's probably a slight focus to wanting to start a company or be part of an early stage startup, but from an industry perspective, people are all over the place, and I'm really excited to see where people go.
Right.
Yeah, I would just have to second that, even especially coming from the entertainment industry, which is definitely different. I know a number of people who have even come to me. Actually, I'm a VP for the Arts, Media, and Entertainment Club, who want to get to the business, and I know firsthand how difficult it is to get in there because it's just so opaque. So yeah, I would just have to second that. Everyone is interested in so many different things.
That's very great. I'm sure that's incredibly helpful for people breaking into media to have you around. Okay, great. Let's see. Next, we have a question a little bit more about academics and class. So how are the industries incorporated into class discussions? What classes do this really well? And do you have a favorite case? So, JB?
Overall, I think many different classes do this very well, actually. I think we should all answer it. My favorite case came from our marketing class. It was actually a case on Unilever in Brazil, which is they create soap. So you wouldn't think it's very interesting, but it was in the sense that because they were trying to figure out a way to break into a certain market. And we were in different groups, and we had to do a whole report. And it was just cool seeing how all the different solutions each group came up with and then presented. So that was a very fun case, and obviously not tech-related.
At all.
At all.
My favorite class so far has been Formation of New Ventures. I don't know if you guys have taken it, but the premise is every class we have a different case, and it's across all industries, healthcare, financials, tech, consumer, and we diagnose what happens in the startup. And each class, the founder comes in and talks to us and provides their remarks throughout the class as well. And so probably my favorite case for that was a company called Tiny Prints, which does cards customized, and at the time that was something that wasn't available to people. And hearing the founders and how they bootstrapped it and how they built it from the ground up was really inspiring for me.
For me, similarly, with regards to having a founder in the class, one that stands out is my HR class, where we did a case on a company in Kenya called Juhudi Kilimo that did loans to farmers to increase productivity. And the founder came in to talk to us about issues around incentivizing, workers to their field staff to go out there and get them business. And that was fascinating. And for me, as someone who comes from abroad, it's really cool to see how they integrate cases from all over the world into many of these classes. Great. Let's see. Next question. How have you kept yourself from being pressured into tech with Silicon Valley so close by? Definitely, there is a pull there. So, Jessica?
Yeah, Stanford does a great job at two things, well, many things, but two in particular are reflection and prioritization. So in the very beginning of the year, we had a session about priorities and setting your priorities and really making sure that you're focusing on your priorities rather than being pulled into the community think and what you think everyone else is doing. So that's definitely bled through my entire experience. I think also on reflection, making sure that you're in tune with yourself and what you want to be doing is something that is known as something that people do here. So I think that that has really kept me on my track, and I haven't really swayed from it because of those two activities.
Yeah, I completely agree. And one thing I'd also add, too, is because Stanford's so close to Silicon Valley and there is a slight tech focus, you get to see how tech has entered other industries. Just because you're not going to go into the tech industry doesn't mean technology is not changing industries. So it's actually very cool to understand that, oh, okay, I might not go into tech itself. I might not go work at Google or Apple, but technology is changing many different, like all different industries, and it's good to see that and keep that in the back of your mind as you look to figure out what you want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And on that point, again, that opportunity to maybe step across to other schools and take a CS class.
Yeah.
A lot of business school students will do that to get that grounding in tech skills. Great. So what resources are available to help you pursue a career shift? Okay. Well, I can take. You want to go? Yeah, I mean, for me, the CMC are incredibly helpful. That's a career management center. You can go there. They have a ton of resources. They have a ton of jobs, a ton of advisors. So that I think is a big one. JB?
Yeah, I was also just going to add CMC and the student clubs too. I joined the consulting club. I remember consulting recruiting as an undergrad a little bit and thought that was just too difficult. But the consulting club and so there are many different clubs, but they give you the resources you need and the practice you need. And then because everyone at the GSB comes from so many different backgrounds, that the students here are very helpful as well if you're looking to change your career.
Yeah, just to give you a picture of that, being able to, in the first quarter, have 30-minute coffee chats with people we have 400 people in our class, and if I want to learn about energy or entertainment, we have 30 minutes, and that really gives almost a deep dive really quickly and efficiently.
Right. What is a typical day like at the GSB, if there is indeed a typical day? Jessica, do you have a day you could talk about?
Yeah, they're very different. I would say during the week we're in classes. It depends on the day, but probably average of 3 classes a day, 3 to 4 classes a day. So we spend a lot of class time, and we also kind of interspersed with that have lunch or coffee with people who we're trying to get to know or catch up with. For dinner, there's often meetings where speakers come in and you kind of go to that speaker and there's dinner provided. One of my favorite things about the GSB is talk, which is tonight, every Wednesday night for us, where one student gives a 30-minute kind of talk about his or her life. So that's a good community aspect. I would say every day has an element of academic, social, community, and career. And it's really exciting. No day is the same, and they all go very quickly.
Yeah.
JB?
Yeah, the only thing I would say that's typical is you're going to have classes at the same time, on like Monday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday. And then your calendar you get invited to lots of different things, and it just starts to fill up, especially if you like to say yes, which you should, because you get to see lots of different experiences. So yeah, there's really no typical day.
Yeah, I don't know about you two, but I find my calendar pretty much owns my life.
Yeah.
It's on there and I'm there. So, and then weekends too, we have our social events, and it's a great time to get the classwork done for the following week and prep for that. Okay. Will you talk about the global experiences you've had or plan on pursuing? Okay. I can take that one. As a former athlete, I got a chance to travel all over the world, but unfortunately, well, it was incredibly fortunate, but on those trips, oftentimes it would just be a pool and a hotel. So it's been very nice for me, just having recently gone on a global experience trip through the GSB to South Africa with 30 of my classmates. And we really got to explore the country, talk to some incredible leaders down there. So that's been a new travel experience for me, and I'm hoping I can do a few more of those during my time here.
Yeah, similarly, I went on a global study trip to Singapore and Indonesia, and just so you know, the global study trips are 30 students, and you're meeting every day with business leaders and government leaders. It's a really great way to get to know a country besides the tourism. So I did that, and I'm also doing an internship in London for 4 weeks over the summer, which will be great, and then looking into planning a global study trip for next year. So the GSB definitely does a great job at intermingling your kind of global experiences with your academic pursuits.
Yeah, I mean, the global experience is a requirement, so you have to do some global aspect. I did a global study trip to Japan last winter, which is just amazing. And applying for a GMIX, we'll see if I get it. So hopefully 4 weeks somewhere abroad.
And you want to explain a little bit about what a GMIX is?
Oh yeah, so I think, is that what you're, yeah. So a GMIX is basically, from the way I see it, it's a mini, we have 14 weeks, I think, 14 weeks off for the summer.
Yeah.
It's a mini internship, so instead of a 10-week or 8-week internship, it's generally around 4 weeks. It can be flexible depending on how much time you have, where you get like it's a stipend to live in a certain country and work for a company and just really get to immerse yourself in the experience.
It's a really great way to have like a little snapshot into what it would be like to work abroad or in that particular industry too. It's a good way to just try it out for 4 weeks.
Right. The next question, what exposure do you have to clean tech, renewables, energy efficiency at the GSB? I suppose this one's for me. So there are some GSB classes focused on clean project development, clean energy project development and finance. And then, of course, the engineering department, there's a ton of classes you can take and design your schedule that way. And a lot of people interested in environment can also do a dual degree. It's called a EIPA degree, and stay on for an extra quarter and even dive deeper into those subjects. How does social impact and corporate social responsibility emerge in your GSB experience, whether inside or outside class? Question.
I know like ethics was one of my favorite classes first quarter, and so that's the class where you're really dealing with the difficult questions. Now, the way it's taught, the teacher does not try and does not tell you what's right or wrong. They just have you, they talk about business situations like the LIBOR scandal or the, I forgot what, Intel was talking about getting, changing their supply chain to like make it more, to like have safer minerals and basically like not like war-torn minerals. And again, like that, so that's definitely a class that focuses on those, and has people have those discussions, because I do think it's very important.
And we also have, there's a social innovation club here, and the energy club actually, we collaborate with them sometimes, and they do a big social innovation retreat, so certainly there's a community here you can plug into in a big way.
There are also opportunities to be a part of actual companies who are doing social good and consulting for them, and it's a pretty time-intensive thing, but those people are learning a lot.
And the last thing I'll add is that I haven't quite done it yet, but you can talk to your professors in class, so you can challenge them, ask them certain questions. I'm only bringing this up because I'm listening to an audiobook about the financialization of America, and it's talking certain things. I remember learning certain things in finance, and I know like in the future if I hear something that's a little jarring, you can challenge your professors and be like, why is this? I heard this and I heard that, and it can actually foster a very good discussion, actually.
Right. Next one, how supportive is the student body? Do you feel that it is a competitive environment or supportive community? Jessica,
I have a very strong opinion on this.
Okay.
It's incredibly supportive.
Yeah.
I have never been in a community of people that we're full of 400 cheerleaders by our side to help us out. I have never felt like someone is trying to go ahead and do something without bringing the whole class behind them. I think some specific examples are in the first quarter or the second quarter, when some people who had finance backgrounds or accounting backgrounds would just help out and for nothing, like just spend many hours trying to help their classmates who came from liberal arts backgrounds. And it's really just a community of help, and people know that I'm interested in starting a skincare company, and people have reached out to me to want to share their experiences. Yeah. And it's really a very, very special community, and I don't think there's anything like it.
Yeah, I totally second that, and yeah, if you want to, someone to help you out with a contact in some industry that you're interested in, people are just so willing to do that. And I'm just thinking, sometimes when you're working on a group project, maybe you don't have as strong a background as someone else on your team. I've just found people so willing to help coach and bring you up to speed in those experiences. So it's been pretty amazing.
And I specifically did recruiting for consulting, which can like scare some people, because generally like business schools are feeders into consulting. And one, it was nice that Stanford is such a diverse background that it wasn't the, again, remembering undergrad where there was 200 people in one room all fighting for 10 jobs. Stanford didn't feel that way at all, because one, it was like 40 people, and then people were just so collaborative. So even in the intense recruiting of it all, Stanford is still an incredibly collaborative and supportive community.
And one thing to bring up on that is that we have a norm of non-grade disclosures, so that also helps out. People kind of are on the spectrum of being super focused on academics and also prioritizing other things as well. And so not competing for the #1 or #2 spot, it's not relevant for us.
Yeah, and allowing us to take risks,
right.
And maybe take a class that we don't have a strong background in, and we can really try to push ourselves. What networking opportunities are available to non-tech students? I can talk about through the Energy Club. We host a careers event in collaboration with the Stanford Energy Club every year. We're bringing in speakers. We have brown bag lunches, throughout the year. So we try to do that through the clubs. I don't know.
Yeah, I would echo that for the retail club. Obviously, as you can tell, we have clubs that go kind of by industry in addition to other activities. And one thing that the clubs do, at least the retail club, is a trek. So there was a trek to Europe, but the one that I went on was to San Francisco, so it was half an hour away, and meeting with various companies and really getting to know people within those companies and networking across retail, so Sephora and Chubby's and other places.
How invested is GSB in providing recruiting resources for students who are interested in careers outside tech? Kind of similar question.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think we've touched on this a little bit. Again, the CMC and the clubs do just such an amazing job of giving you the resources you would need, no matter what. Like, again, we talked about the treks, we talked about the CMC, and on the different, you can do individual one-on-one meetings if you're a CMC advisor. They can help you reach out to alumni. There's plenty of resources that will help you find jobs outside of tech.
Yeah. Right. Can you speak a bit about any experience you might have meeting students at GSB who come from a non-profit background, who are interested in focusing on non-profits later in their careers? Personally, I have a lot of friends who come from non-profit backgrounds, and the couple that comes to mind are actually starting a company in the space. And so, Stanford is incredibly supportive of people who want to go into nonprofits. There's also funding you can access for your summers to work with nonprofit companies. And there's also a fellowship beyond, once you graduate, that you can access if you're going to be working in a nonprofit career. So GSB is incredibly supportive. Anything else to add on that one? No? Yeah. Is it common for students' post-grad goals to change over the course of the program?
Definitely, definitely. I think a lot of people come in not really knowing what they want to do, knowing that they want to change fields, but want to explore different hypotheses. I think it'll be interesting. We're all first years, so it'll be interesting to see what happens after the summer, where a lot of people have internships and they test out the hypothesis of do they like it or do they not, or various aspects, and then come back in the fall ready to do full-time recruiting or go back to the company that they interned at. It'll be interesting to see.
And it's currently almost May, we're a week away from May, and I know a number of people who still don't have internships for the summer.
Yeah.
That's because, and it's not because they can't get internships, it's because they're still just really trying to figure out what they want to do. So even right now, some people are still trying to figure out where to explore.
We're waiting for the perfect.
Exactly.
Yeah, I have heard from second years the summer can be a big time because it really helps refine how you approach the second year and really hone in on something. Knowing you wanted to enter a non-tech field before entering business school, why did you choose GSB?
I can tackle that one. GSB, it was definitely my top choice. One, I lived in Los Angeles, so even though I grew up in the Northeast, I was like, it'd be nice to stay in the West Coast. And I'm doing consulting short term, might want to get back into media long term, but it harkens to what I was saying earlier, just how technology is changing every industry. So I wanted to be nearby the tech space, because specifically in media, I mean, Facebook is becoming a media company. Apple is having a much bigger space in the media, space, bigger player in the media space. So these tech companies are becoming media companies from my point of view, in a sense. So I just wanted to be around that sort of life, I guess, proximity.
Yeah, I agree. I wanted to be around big ideas and ideas that are changing the world, and just openness and new ways of thinking and collaborating. And the GSB was definitely that. Beyond that, I think the community that we have all talked about is just unparalleled, and that's really what made GSB my first choice. And then I would also say that if you want to start a company, the resources are unparalleled as well. I think it's a fantastic place to start a company, regardless of what industry you want to start it in.
Yeah, and I was lucky enough to do my undergraduate here, so any chance to return to the farm, I'll take it. How much does your first and second year schedules allow for you to be in extracurriculars? Is it recommended to do just one extracurricular, take a new leadership role, or would you be able to participate in a few clubs?
So clubs here are different from at least my undergrad experience in that they don't really dominate your social experience if you don't want them to. So we have something called, we have the first 5 weeks basically we can't be a part of club, and that's in an effort to get back in the swing of things of being a student and getting to know your classmates. And so by the time you join, it's actually the midway through your first quarter. And I don't know about you guys, but I joined several the retail club being one of them, but also just activities like the wine circle and the eat club. And so throughout your first year, you can definitely be involved in a bunch of them. And then if you want to take on a leadership position, it's definitely manageable. And I'm doing one, it's the eating club. But it's definitely manageable. It's kind of like whatever you want to prioritize is where you should spend your time.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, in terms of club leadership, I think it really depends, one, how much the club does over the course of the year, how big a role it is, how much you want to bring to the role. I do see some people taking on maybe more than one leadership role in a club, but I think typically it's one and then being a member or playing a supporting role in other clubs.
But I've definitely seen like some second years, they're done now, but like who led a couple clubs, one or two clubs. They did Arbuckle. I think someone who was like an Arbuckle fellow and also someone like Planet GMX too. Yeah, they were very, very, very busy because that is a lot, but it's doable.
Right. With a non-tech bias, how does the GSB prepare you for starting for-profit businesses in Africa or low-income countries? I guess this one's for me. So, I mean, there have been quite a few businesses started in these countries by alums of the GSB. So I have plugged into the network of people who've done that in Kenya specifically. You know, again, there's a ton of resources, people who've funded businesses overseas. So, you know, there's a lot of potential. A lot of innovations have come out of Stanford for work in low-income countries. One I can think of specifically came out of the D School, was a low-tech incubator for babies in low-income countries. So, you know, there's a lot of support here, and there's a lot of precedent for people who have done that coming out of the GSB and Stanford more generally, actually. Can you talk about your experiences with faculty?
I've had great experience with faculty, and it's just funny comparing it to my undergrad experience where I didn't really talk to faculty at all that often. But I've had a couple of lunches. Like accounting, I was terrified for accounting because that was just the class I was going to be. This is going to be the toughest thing from a non-business background. But I love the class. I had lunch with the teacher while we were in class together. I've had lunch with the teacher again, like after class. So the faculty is just incredibly approachable. Just the way the school is set up is like the big dining Arbuckle is like right in the middle, so you see your teachers, even like when you're not in class with them anymore, and like it's just fun to catch up with them. So I've just had amazing experiences with faculty members.
Yeah, I would say they're deeply supportive, just like the community of us is. And so I had a question about a startup, and I went in to talk to a professor for office hours, and she spent way longer than I expected her to or to have time to, because she really cared about getting to the bottom of it and problem solving with me. And it's an ongoing conversation. So it's really actually incredible how much they want to help us and want to see us succeed and propel us into the world.
I second all of that, and I actually just last week had an amazing experience where I got invited to go to an ice hockey game with a faculty member. So I got to spend time watching the San Jose Sharks, which is pretty incredible. So. And
I'll actually throw in one more thing. Like there was one teacher who they do in the middle of halfway through the quarter, you do an evaluation of your teachers. And one teacher we didn't love him. We gave him not a very strong evaluation, but the way he responded to it was incredible to me. He took it and then he spent like one class literally just talking to us about like what he can do better, how he can improve, his experiences from prior years. And the second half of the class went so much better because that teacher really cared about changing the way he was teaching us. The engagement.
What support and guidance do alumni provide? I can take that. I mean, I've had just really amazing interactions with alumni, especially ones who are involved in energy. I had a lot of conversations that way. There's actually a Stanford Professionals in Energy group where they help set us up with mentors who are working in the field outside the GSB. So incredibly supportive alumni community. I think that's one of the huge pluses of the GSB is that community that you get to plug into.
I definitely think it's because it's like a much tighter community that you can really connect with alumni. Like I've had a number, especially during the recruiting process for consulting, a number of alumni were definitely reaching out to me saying, hey, you should think about this firm. This firm is pretty good. And so I've definitely had good interactions with them as well.
Yeah, people are incredibly welcome to the emails and the cold emails. If you have a Stanford address, they are definitely welcome to answering your questions.
Great. So we're almost out of time today. Before we go, JB and Jessica, any final words of advice for people thinking about applying to Stanford for an MBA?
I would probably say look into the community that you're joining. I think Stanford is an incredible community, but it is one that is a pretty intense community and one that really does open up and share with each other and get to know each other really well. I don't know if that's for everyone. It's definitely for me, and it's worked really well for me, but just really understand the community that you're joining and where you will play into that.
Yeah, and I would say just be really thoughtful about what you want to get out of the experience, but then be also open at the same time because like you understand like you're going to change. So come in with a goal, but a loose like a loose sort of goal to figure and leave yourself open to change.
Yeah. And I guess my final comment would be, if you don't want to, you don't want to work in tech, there's plenty of other opportunities that you can explore at the GSB. So I don't think that should be a big concern as you're thinking about Stanford for an MBA. It's an incredible experience for me so far. And yeah, I think they seconded as well. Great. Okay, well, that's it. Thank you two for joining us, and everyone in the audience for participating. You can learn more about the MBA program and the admission process on the GSB website. The application for the next cycle will be available in June. Yeah, thanks again, and I hope you all have a great day.